See, Rosemary, you read my mind. I'm going to call to order the Saturday, November 13th, 2021 meeting of the Advisory Redistricting Commission. Let's see, could we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. So for District 1, Commissioner Carrillo, Commissioner Sanchez, Commissioner Gonzalez.
Here.
For District 2, Commissioner Padilla,
Here.
Commissioner Tansey,
Here.
Commissioner Ferrante,
Present.
Alternative Commissioner Sister Dolores.
Here.
For District 3, Commissioner Kong,
Here.
Commissioner McDougall, Commissioner Salinas.
Here.
Okay. For District 4, Madam Chair Parker,
Here.
Commissioner Magana, Commissioner Mitchell,
Present.
Alternative Commissioner Terry Short. For District 5, Commissioner Sands,
Here.
Commissioner Lal, Commissioner Jones-Ferrick,
Present.
and Alternative Commissioner Keely Richter.
Present.
Thank you very much.
I'm also here. This is Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes, I
You
took that. Thank you.
You were quicker than me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Good. Looks like we have a quorum.
Yes.
Let's see, Ms. Soto, any additions or corrections to the agenda? Could you speak closer to the microphone? I think I hear that you're speaking, but we can't hear what you're saying.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't realize there was a button. Okay. Yes, Madam Chair, we are going to change the order of item number 4. A, B, C, and D are going to be different. A is going to be presentation of draft maps by LGDR by Lapcaf and Gobele. And B is going to be commission recommendations. C is going to be public comment, and B will be discussion. Wait, I'm sorry. Whoops. I apologize. I am looking at the wrong notes. I'm going to repeat that, but correctly. So the changes are that A is going to be questions from commissioners on the draft maps. B is going to be public testimony. C will be commission discussion. And then D will be commissioners will state the map preferences.
Thank you very much. That makes sense. And then I do want to see, as we know, we had 4 maps, current 1.1, A and B. And now we have 2 or 3 more to look at. So we may be able to get it all done within the time frame, up till noon, but I wanted to just see maybe which commissioners are not able to stay longer than noon. So if you can, don't do or say anything, but if you need to go at noon, could you let me know, either by speaking up or raising your hand or doing something? I see Ms. Jones-Ferrick can't stay. I see Commissioner Mitchell and Alternative Commissioner Dolores. So that's 3. Okay, good. So I think it would be good for us to, we will focus and try to get as much done today as we can. All right, the next item on the agenda is general public comment. So if there are any members of the public who would like to comment on items not on today's agenda, this is the time to do that. And if you would like to comment, please raise your hand on the virtual way, or unmute and let us know you'd like to speak, and I will recognize you. I see Kathy. Oh, all right. I see that Carla Lobo has raised her hand. Yes, please. Go ahead.
I apologize. I just have a clarification or a clarifying question. Each individual district will have its own opportunity to have their public comment made for that district from the community, correct? And this public comment is only for items that are not on the agenda.
Correct.
Thank you.
Kathy Biala.
I just have one question on the general comment. If we wanted to have a more general comment, not based on a specific map, is it the time now, or shall we wait until after the questions on all the maps?
I would say if it's about a map or about the maps, the comment would be best in that section of the agenda after we see all the maps. But if it's about the process or something else, then now would be the time.
I see. Thank you. I withdraw my raised hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Mayor Oglesby, I see your hand is up.
Thank you, Chair. I just quick at this portion, I think I'll be able to stay for the map portion, but I wanted to thank the committee itself and your leadership. I haven't had a time to weigh in before any of the meetings, but I know this is an important undertaking, and I appreciate the whole committee's work in this effort. So I just want to separate those comments from any other comments I may make later. I just want to thank you guys for doing this on behalf of the community. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, sir. And then I see someone by the name of iPhone has their hand raised. Please go ahead.
This is Commissioner Gonzalez. Just a question in terms of process. Do we have to do it if the agenda is changing? Does the commission have to do anything in terms of approval of it, or not in terms of following the Brown Act? I'm not sure. It's just a.
Thank you. Good question. We'll ask council. So we moved the order of things around on one of the agenda items. Ms. Brereton, does the commission need to make a motion to accept those changes?
You can normally just do it, but if you'd like to vote on it, if you guys have issues with that, that's fine. If it was a substantive change, like you were going to add something new to the agenda that hadn't been noticed, that would be a problem. But in this case, we're just changing the order, and so it's not really a substantive change.
Great, thank you. So if the commission is comfortable, we'll just roll on. Or if someone would prefer that we take an action, please jump in and make a motion, and we will do that. Okay, I'm not hearing any, so thank you very much. Appreciate all the questions and comments so far. We will move now to hopefully approving the action minutes from our meeting last week on the 4th of November. Do any of the commissioners have any comments or questions or corrections to the minutes as submitted?
Madam Chair, this is Ms. Ferrante, Commissioner Ferrante. I'll move that motion.
Okay, I've got a motion from Ferrante, a second from Mitchell, and I see that Commissioner Tanzi had his hand up. Do you want to? No? Okay. Commissioner Sanchez, did you have a comment?
Yeah, maybe I missed it, but I don't see in the minutes the comments from the public from a last meeting. Maybe I'm missing that page, but I don't see the comments that were made by the public. Is that a?
Okay, good question. Ms. Soto, do you want to speak to that, or?
We will have to correct that to include the public comment during public testimony.
Great, thank you. So would let's see, so maybe the minutes should just come back.
That would be the
So,
minute.
okay, we'll look at them at our meeting on the 18th. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. Does any member of the public have any questions, comments, or corrections to the minutes as submitted while we're making changes? I don't see any hands and I don't see any unmuting. So thank you. We will then move to our regular agenda. So we're going to start with a review on just the Fair Maps Act and what are the criteria we're looking at here and trying to meet in this process. And for that, we're going to hear from County Counsel Ann Brereton.
Madam Chair, if I may, before you move forward, we'd just like me to make an announcement for the record that we do have interpretation available on site here at City Hall in Greenfield for Spanish speakers. Tenemos interpretación disponible para los que ocupen ser interpretado por esta junta aquí en la ciudad de Greenfield. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rosemary, will you enable me to share my screen? Here we go. Okay, I know you guys have a busy schedule today, so I'm going to try to get through this very quickly. If you'd like copies of the slides, just ask Rosemary. They'll also be posted on the website. But we wanted to kind of go over the rules of the road, and we find those rules for redistricting in the Fair Maps Act, which is codified in the Elections Code. It starts in around section 21,500. So we get the rules from this redistricting in this section, and it basically says that following each census, that's where the census comes up, and using that census as your basis, the board shall adjust the boundaries of the supervisory districts so that they shall be substantially equal in population. And population is based on the total population of residents as determined by the census. So, you know, you've heard us talk early on about the census, and this is where this comes in the law. The board, this is an interesting thing for me, the board shall adopt these boundaries using the following criteria as set forth in the following order of priority. So they've set your priority right here. Your number one has to be that they have to be geographically contiguous. What that means is you can't have a circle of, say, District 4 that's completely in District 3. And they also don't want to see a sort of a balloon type effect where the points meet only by two separate points and then they sort of balloon out into another district. You want to make it make sense. And you're looking for boundaries, whether that's natural boundaries like streets or mountains or the boundaries of the county. You want to look at the second most important thing after geography is your communities of interest. So you want to minimize the division of populations that share a common social or economic interest. You want to keep those within one district so that there can have effective and fair representation. You don't want to divide people up so that their vote is diminished. Your boundaries need to be easily identifiable and understandable by the residents who live there. As Jane has said, you know, these are people that we're messing with when we change boundaries. We're changing who they identify with and who they are now going to be associated with. So that we always need to keep that in mind as well. You want to have something called geographical compactness. That means you don't want to have, there's a famous map that I think it was in North Carolina, and it's one long, thin map. And basically it was, they got an argument of gerrymandering because they were, the way they drew the map was not considered geographically compact. And then this last one, you don't want to adopt boundaries for the purpose of favoring or discriminating against a political party or in favor of somebody that you think might run for supervisor. So maybe you think, oh, I don't want John Smith to be the next supervisor of District 4. And so you're going to try to draw maps where he's drawn out, where he lives will no longer be in District 4, and therefore he can't run for supervisor in District 4. That's not a correct way to, a thing to consider when drawing maps. So this is an interesting one I was asked recently. What happens if you, for perfectly valid reasons, you draw a map where the supervisor who's in that district is now outside the boundary of that district? What happens? Well, what ends up happening is they serve out their term, and at the first election for county supervisors, after the new boundaries have been approved by the board, then that new district takes effect. So, and they are the supervisor of that new district. Now, if the current supervisor is now living in a different district, they either have to move or something, because they have to be a resident of the district if they're going to run. Okay, so this is where we get all the rules for all the many meetings that everybody has been so patient and so good at coming to. We had to have at least 4 public meetings. We've blown way past that with all the meetings that we've had of the commission. So we've had a number of Brown Act commission meetings. We've had a number of public workshop meetings, and we have to have at least 1 meeting before the board draws a map with the board. Okay, we already did that, so we checked that box. Oops, I'm so sorry. Hold on. And we have to have 2 public hearings basically after maps have been drawn. So we will satisfy that on November 20th with the board and on December 7th with the board. We have to have at least 1 public meeting on a Saturday. We're accomplishing that right now. And this next one is more for staff, but it's interesting to note that the public hearing with the joint meeting, it has to be at a fixed time on the agenda. So when we get the maps approved on December 7th, that we are on a scheduled item. So we're scheduled for a certain time. What that means is that the board can finish concluding any previous business. So even though it might not start exactly at, let's say 1:30, they can finish up their meeting. They just can't push us off to another day. They have to deal with us on the day that we set and on the day that we notice to the public. And then this down here is how we have the board establishing what the commission, the Advisory Redistricting Commission. They can establish one to help them do the work of setting the boundaries. So this next code section talks about we have to do outreach to underrepresented communities and non-English speaking communities to help them understand about redistricting is taking place, and you can take part in this. We have met all of these burdens already. We have outreach. Rosemary does outreach all the time to media to get them to do stories on redistricting. We've already seen a couple in various papers. We reach out to different community groups and as well as all of the commissioners reaching out to all of your contacts to get people involved. This last one is of interest for Rosemary and I. A draft map shall be published on the internet for at least 7 days before being adopted as the final map. So that's something for her and I to consider. It's got to just go up on the website. Each map prepared by either the commission or by the public shall be accompanied by information on the total population, And all those, all that information that is automatically included in both of the map tools. So when you're writing a map, you don't have to worry about any of that, because the way the software works and the way the tool that Labcoff gave us, it automatically fixes everything for us so that we can see how it affects the total population, what some of the other issues are. And you'll see that in effect today when we go over the maps. Sorry. And then this just says we have to keep all this information for 10 years, which Rosemary and I will make sure happens for this. The website, all of the stuff that we've done, all of the meeting, attendance, all of it has to be kept for 10 years. So that if anybody ever has any questions or they want to sue us, they can look at this, and we can also look at this to say, no, we did everything within the bounds of the law. Does anybody have any questions? And hearing none, with that, I'm going to let you guys move on to the rest of your meeting. I know you got a busy schedule today. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. So are there any commissioners who have questions on this? Pretty familiar to us. We've been at these meetings. So any members of the public with questions on kind of the rules of the road that we're trying to follow? Okay, just a second, Commissioner, I'll come back to you. If there's no public comment or question, which there doesn't seem to be. All right, yes, Commissioner Sanchez.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, since the online tool was only made available a few days ago, and people are barely getting familiar with it, and so I'm just wondering or asking when is the last day that the public or commissioners can submit a map for consideration? When does that window close? Because I know we submitted one very late yesterday, but I know there's others that wanting to submit others. So when is that date?
So technically speaking, that date would be 7 days before December 7th. But from a practice, and we will consider any maps received up until like the end of November. But practically speaking, we have our meeting with the Board of Supervisors on the 20th, and we would definitely like to attempt to have our final recommendation or final recommended map going to them by that date. Here's why. We also have to have the Registrar of Voters look over any maps that are under consideration to see if there are any issues that would affect precincts or polling places, because that will affect approval of those maps if there's an issue. We also have the Thanksgiving holiday. And so we're trying to get, and trust me, we understand the speed at which we're asking people to move on these maps. It's unfortunate that they got the census data out to us so late, and we've had to just crunch all of these meetings together so quickly. This is kind of unheard of that we've had to move this way, but it is what it is, and we're trying to get it done. But ultimately, if we could get final maps and for the commission to approve your recommended final map by November 20th, so that when we have our joint meeting with the board, we can present that final map to them on the 20th. But like Rosemary's saying, we will still review and have Labcoff, our demographers, review all submitted maps leading up to November 30th. Because again, by law, we have to post any final approved maps 7 days ahead of the approval on the 7th.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And I think this might be a good time for Jackie Estrada to announce the office hours when she will be available to walk people through how to work with the online mapping tool. So if any members of the public or any other commissioners want to try their hand at the maps, you'll have a way to have a guide for that.
Yes, thank you. So next Monday, or upcoming Monday and Tuesday, we'll have office hours from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And Rosemary Soto will send out the invite to that meeting. But that's an opportunity for any members of the public to join in a Zoom meeting and ask technical questions about the Maptitude online software, or if, they would like me to walk through it, I can do that. So those two meetings will be again Monday and Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m.
Thank you very much. And do people need to make an appointment, or they can just log on whenever they're ready and be polite in the conversation, but sort of join in whenever it works for them?
Yeah, so there'll be a waiting room. So I'll go through each participant one by one.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
And let's see, so if maybe it would be useful to put the address in the chat where people can log on and find you. That would be great. And then also we are, Rosemary Soto is mentioning in the chat that if you would like to receive, if any member of the public would like to receive emails with the draft maps as they come available, if you would put your email address in the chat, you can be put on the list and you will receive those emails. Great, thank you. We are moving fast, that is for sure. Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez, for that question. Let's see, so, all right, we'll move now to agenda item number 3. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Carrillo. I saw you and then you appeared to go away and now I see you.
I know,
again.
for some reason, the hand keeps getting lowered on its own. I don't know what's going on on my end, but
please, go ahead.
so I had a follow-up question on County Council's comments regarding elections department. Did you say that elections has to, you said to review it, but there's not an approval process. They're just going to review it if they have to make necessary changes, or what's their turnaround time at reviewing the maps?
So they're going to do sort of a broad brush overview because we don't give them enough time to really dig down into a lot of detail. So they've asked for a week. So they've generously said they'll try to do it over Thanksgiving, that week of Thanksgiving, when a lot of us will have our attention elsewhere. But so after the 20th, when we meet with the Board of Supervisors, they said they would meet and kind of look over any of the maps that we are considering. And really, it's just going to be a broad brush. They're not guaranteeing there won't be issues with maps, but they're going to look to see, are there any glaring issues here with polling places or where people have to go?
Okay, thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yes, I maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember using that as part of a criteria to drawing maps in terms of that overriding any of the other issues as far as creating maps. Is that something that's necessarily part of the criteria that would override anything else? Because I would imagine that whatever lines you're created, they would be able to redraw. They always redraw polling places. And so I wasn't sure if that was part of a criteria as far as overriding other more important issues.
So your maps need to be due no later than November 30th, because we have to post the map to the public 7 days in advance. So that is your deadline. Out of consideration, we like to give it to the election department so that if there are issues, they can go over stuff. Is that a legal requirement? You are 100% correct, Ernesto. It's not. But it's a practical consideration that we show them the maps and let them tell us if there are any issues. But the deadline really is November 30th. However, I will point out that the Board of Supervisors, their chance to look at what we are recommending as this commission is Saturday, November 20th. Will we consider other maps after that date? Yes, we will. We will have the demographers look at everything We'll send out any maps that we get after that date for the commission to view in case there's a new map that comes in after you've made your recommendation that you like better. But really, we're kind of pushing this to get the commission to have their final recommended map by November 20th. But Ernesto points out correctly, we will accept and look at any maps from the public up until November 30th, because at that date, on the next day, December 1st, we have to post all considered maps onto the website for the public to view and to comment on. And then, just so you know, if there really was an issue, let's say that we recommended a map as a commission, and we found that there was some issue with the map that the board was going to approve, we would still have, Rosemary and I have built in a safety net in case we had to push something back. But that is really our emergency action. We really are trying to get everything approved by the board on their set scheduled date of December 7th to approve final maps. As you might be aware, the board only has so many hearing dates left in December. So we have early on set our schedule for December 7th, and we're trying to meet that schedule. But don't be afraid to submit maps after November 20th. We definitely will still take a look at them.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, let's move now to the third item on our agenda. This is our look at all of the maps that we have before us. The four that we're more familiar with as commissioners, and then there were three more that were submitted, and our demographer team will go over those maps now so everyone knows what we've got.
I'm sorry, I was perplexed by Zoom for a moment. Hello, everyone. It's been a long haul and we've got a lot of work in front of us, and map plans keep coming in and we're trying to keep up. We had got one early this morning and we're not finished with it. And I'm not sure we got it right, but in any event, there's a map submitted by one of the commissioners that was submitted yesterday, and we got it this morning. So now I will show you all of the plans we have to date. Oops. So I'm going to review all of the maps we've gotten so far. And the purpose of this is, of course, to help you discuss the draft plans and focus on narrowing down the options. So perhaps even choose a plan today. So I better hurry up. There are plans, plan 1.1, which we drew, and then plans A through F. And the footnote here, all plans except Plan F keep Delray Oaks in District 4. All the plans divide Salinas in different ways, and that's the main difference among them. And I think Plan F is not right, so that comment about Delray Oaks may not be relevant. Here's the plan that we drew. On the following maps, there are red ovals around areas that differ in pairs of maps, and it seemed to us plans A and B were pretty similar, and the red ovals show where the two maps differ. So for example, in Plan A in northern Salinas, you can see a circle around two of the pieces up in that area, and Plan A divides those two pieces and Plan B keeps them together. Also, in West Central Salinas, pieces 7 and 8 are kept together in Plan A, kept together in District 4. And in Plan B, this area, pieces 7 and 8 remain in District 2. In the south, we have a slightly different treatment of just this area here. So this area here is in District 3 in Plan A, and in Plan B, it's in District 4. These are relatively minor differences, and we've tried to help you understand the differences in our criteria table, which we need to update to include Plan F once we establish exactly what it looks like. Plan C and D are somewhat similar. They treat the area that I'm pointing to. Can you see my cursor? Good. This area is in District 1 in Plan C, and it's in District 2 in Plan D. The difference in this area is the treatment of just this part of the map that's circled. So you can see here, District 1 comes over to Highway 68 in a incomplete way. And here, District 3 has part of that territory, and District in Plan C, District 2 has a little bit more of this territory than Plan D does. And in the south, the treatment of the southernmost part of the city of Salinas is different. In Plan C, this area, which is mostly packing houses, is in Area 4, trustee area, District 4. And in this map, that same area is assigned to District 3. Here's Plan E, which to the best of our ability to understand it, and I'm sorry, our understanding of this map may not be accurate, but this was submitted by one of the commissioners, and it, to the best of our ability to figure it out, is the same as Plan 1.1, except perhaps there was a piece placed differently in Plan E than in Plan 1.1, but it was not contiguous, I believe. So we are falling back to the idea of having it resemble Plan 1.1. Again, I'm sorry that if this is a mistake. And here's the brand new map, Plan F, which in the version we got this morning put Delray Oaks in District 5. There may be a more up-to-date version of Plan F, and I read in the email that came with this plan replaces our District 1 Commissioner's Plan 1 that was submitted yesterday, and this moves some pieces around. So I think this map is different in reality, but I'm not sure about the sequencing. This map was created using Moore, and you see the block configuration makes for some odd looking boundaries. And it may not be significant at all, but using individual census blocks like the online redistricting tool does sometimes needs a bit of cleaning up. Here we have the treatment of District 4, incorporating this part of Salinas, that's piece 8, I think, and also stretching over here to this street. So District 3 comes into here in a narrow corridor. And again, I don't think that we have this right, but we did our best to in the short time we had, and we'll fix it as soon as we possibly can. And this is Plan F data. And one of the interesting features of the plan that I just showed you, Plan F, which may not be the same in the final version, is that this has a very low deviation of 0.9%. And if Delray Oaks were left in District 4 per requests from members of the public, the deviation would be a little higher at 3.1% more than other plans, but still that's quite a low deviation. Now, this set of data was created using the online redistricting tool, and the Latino CVAP is a little bit higher in this version created with more than all of the other plans, because this was a slightly different older database with the CVAP data for Latinos. But it's,
Jean,
yes.
can I just speak to that?
Yeah, sorry. Thank you,
Yeah.
Shelley.
Hi. These data are the ones we created then with our good block database. So this map is fine. It's just that the data coming out of Moore gives the Hispanic CVAP about 0.5% more than what our block database. So if you see a table like this, that's all filled out, that's with good data.
Thank you for the clarification, Shelley. Appreciate it. Now, you received yesterday a PDF file with all these maps except Plan F in much greater resolution, so you can look at the maps yourselves. And as I said before, you already have this criteria table that includes all the plans except Plan F. And you got this yesterday too, so I won't review it. There's a lot of text here, and you can fill in your own criteria. I believe you got a blank criteria table as well that you might like to use, because our analysis might not be the sort of analysis you'd like to see. We have a series of slides in our PowerPoint that focus on each one of these plans, the criteria for each plan. And this helps you read the pieces of the big table that I showed you before this. And again, we don't have a Plan F analysis. So that is all I have of that, but I can also show you my PDF versions of Plan F and of all the other maps if you want, but I'm not going to do that now, so you can start asking questions.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Gobelet. I'm going to ask commissioners to ask questions at this point. Then I want to hear from the public, and then I'm going to add, then the commissioners, then we'll sort of go into discussion about, comparing what the different maps do and so on. So let's start with questions, and I see that Commissioner Sands has her hand up.
I have two questions. One, I don't think I got a chart that had the last few plans in it. I got a chart hand delivered to me with the Plan 1.1 A and B, but I never saw the C and D chart that you just showed. Did that get delivered late in the day yesterday?
No, I think it was just emailed.
Okay, I'll look at my emails. That maybe it came in and I didn't see it.
Rosemary or Vanessa might speak to that.
Yes, Shelley, I had made the packages on, what was it, Wednesday night. And remember you sent the updated version Thursday morning. So I was already hand delivering them by the time that I got the email. So I remember we agreed that we were going to email them to the commissioners.
So it is in an email. It has been sent to us as an email attachment?
Yes, I believe Rosemary sent it yesterday and an all informational email to include everyone's that were, so we might get some maps submitted post this meeting.
Okay.
So you should expect another email with these new submitted maps, I believe.
Okay, great. Second question is, I'm just curious about the pieces, I guess it's piece 8. I don't know that community, and I have notes from a previous meeting that indicated somebody in the community thought it was better in District 1 than in District 2. but I noticed it's now shown up in a variety of different places. I just would love someone from the community to give some comments about where that might best be placed. And that would help me decide some things. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see if any of our public is from that area or can speak to that. Commissioner Sanchez.
Yeah, just for the sake of discussion, and it wasn't very clear which maps or which, we did submit it to that, Jackie did a great job in helping us draw those maps, but we omitted one change and gave the wrong piece. So we can disregard those two if they're being considered today. So because there was data that was not, it was missing one piece and we gave the wrong piece. So the third one that we submitted late last night, that's the one that we would like to discuss. So like that, we're not spending time on two maps that were not what we wanted. So just wanted to say that.
Can you clarify which maps those are? Like, is it F that you like, or?
The first two, the first two that Jackie submitted for us, that forwarded to you, those we can disregard. And the one that I sent out on my own to the administrators, that's the one that is accurate and updated.
Do you know if what the first two plans that you submitted, or is that Plan D or C?
That's what's not clear to me, because I had heard there was 3 maps before we submitted, and then but then so it's not clear which one is ours. I know the one that's got that weird little hook. We saw that when we were working with Jackie on it, and it might be in the same one that I submitted. So, but I'm just saying, see, it's not clear to me which ones are, because you label them by letter, not by who submitted them.
We have a footnote on who submitted it. One
Okay.
is- yeah. Okay.
I have an email. I think you, Commissioner Sanchez, sent it. This plan replaces our District 1 Commissioner's Plan 1 submitted yesterday, and it moves Piece 2 from District 2 to District 1, and Piece 8 from District 2 to District 4, and Piece 11 is moved from District 1 to District 3. Now, is this the final version of your map, Commissioner Sanchez?
Correct.
Okay, we'll recreate Plan E then and get rid
F.
of the early.
That is F.
F.
We already created F.
Yeah,
So
but
F is
no, we didn't use the right boundaries, because what we did was the one created and more. And he sent an email specifying pieces-based map boundaries. So we do need to redo Plan F.
Okay, so far we have, so we'll sort of suspend Plan F for the moment. It was already a bit iffy, but plans C and D that were submitted, we can still consider. Plan E, as far as we know, is the same as 1.1. So in a sense, it's on the table too, but it was already there. And then we'll just leave Plan F for the moment, because we don't have it complete and analyzed, right?
Shelley, could you clarify that the data you sent me just a little while ago for Plan F, is that the pieces-based one?
Yeah, I redid it with the pieces. So
okay,
it would be good
if we just don't have a map to show you, or do you have a map you could screen share for Plan F?
Well, could Commissioner Sanchez look at what you showed for Plan F, and did that look correct?
No, it's not correct. It's the more version that he said already is not correct.
Okay, so what let's do is the demographers sort out what is going on there with Plan F. And if we can get something that reflects what Commissioner Sanchez submitted as the correct version, we'll look at it. Meantime, we'll go through with commissioner questions and we'll hear from the public. And hopefully by the time we get to the commissioner discussion, we'll have a better idea of Plan F. Commissioner Ferrante.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What I believe I'm hearing is in piece 2 and 3 is what demographers and Commissioner Sanchez were talking about, keeping piece 2 in. When I was talking to my fellow commissioners, when we submitted our map, we didn't want to have 2 and 3 split. So our thought was to keep 2 and 3 out of the map. Leave it the way it is, but move over to piece 1, because those of you that go back to the day before the freeway, piece 1 is the gateway to the city limits of Salinas, coming southbound from 101. Okay, that is a area of Santa Rita and the Northridge Estate area. And
Commissioner, I'm going to interrupt you because we're not at this part of the meeting yet. This is for questions. So you're making a very good point, and that's going to be very helpful when we get, after we hear from the public. That's the kind of clarification we want to hear, what you were thinking and all of that. Dr. Gobele? You're muted.
Okay, this is the zoomed in map of the pieces in Salinas, and I'll have this available for the discussion later. I think you can see it, can't you? Can you see them? Yeah, good, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Great. Any other questions from commissioners before we open it up to the public? Great, thank you. So I am going to open up the public testimony, and I guess officially the workshop, the redistricting workshop public hearing has opened. So if there are any members of the public who would like to speak at this point, I invite you to do so. If you have questions or comments on specific maps or the maps in general, whatever, this is the time. So if you would raise your hand, and I will check. I neglected to ask if there was anyone in the room in Greenfield who would like to speak. So let me start there. All right, I'm not hearing anything or seeing much in the way of movement. So
No, Madam Chair, we are good here.
okay, super, thank you. All right, I see George Powell has his hand raised. And just while you're unmuting, you'll have 3 minutes. You appear to be unmuted, but we can't hear you. So is there something about the microphone on your computer or? Speak now. No, speak now. No. Bummer. If you want to put a comment in the chat while we, I'll go ahead and call on some other people while you troubleshoot your sound, or you can put your comment in the chat. Sorry about that. Carla Lobo.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. I can't
can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity to spend my Saturday morning understanding this more in depth. And I can probably see that there's a lot of hard work that went into it. A couple of caveats. The entire presentation for me personally was very all over the place, you know, with maps being introduced last minute, us not actually knowing, meaning the commissioners there, not knowing which map to go off. So looking from this end, we are even more confused. it's imperative that we do have a lot of community engagement, but when we are engaged and we're here spending our Saturday morning and we have this level of presentation where it only makes us even more confused about what's going on, does not give us an opportunity and a meaningful engagement for us to actually speak what we are looking to and what we want. One of the comments I do want to make with regards to adding over 3,000 to 4,000 residents into District 4 from Salinas, this will smother our current community. Not only that, it will absolute silence the Black community. So that map, whichever that one was, which I'm still looking through my notes to figure that one out, which that should be a caveat to make these presentations better and user-friendly for the community, needs to be X'd as a whole or needs to be relooked at, because that in itself is telling of the type of engagement we are being engaged as of right now. You can't even get 1% of Latino community from District 4 to show up and speak because we are not engaged at all. Not even 1% of any other community is coming to the forefront to be able to speak in order to be heard or even understand what is going on. So to add another 4,000 residents that are not going to be engaged is detrimental. Who really is making these decisions? Who is really these lines affecting in order for them to actually have voices here? Who's speaking for them? Because it's not them and the cities aren't making efforts to engage them. So I just want to make sure that that's understood and that we actually meaningfully engage with our community at a more in-depth level, not just to say, oh, well, we engaged with these leaders and that and this and the other. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Next, let's hear from, sorry, I'm gonna probably not get your name, Jihua.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much and for sharing the rules and redistricting the maps. And that's very good for us to understand that. And I still remember you mentioned one of the rules is to consider the social and economic interests of the residents. And as we all know, Marina is known for its diverse Asian communities. So the only concern we have now as an Asian community is that by adding more population number to our district, which means that might, percentage-wise, that might affect our Asian voice. We are concerned that Asian voice might be decreased. So I just, would like to request that you could consider this important factor before you finalize the redistricting map. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Kathy Biala is next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just got a text from George Powell, who had difficulties getting on, and he said he's trying to get to another computer. So please watch for his name on the screen. Thank you. So my name is Kathy Biala, and I'm a resident of Marina. In the last 12 months, Asian Americans from Marina have stepped into new roles. I was elected to the city council in Marina. Jeff Uchida won his seat on the school board. Hyung-Soo Her was appointed to the Marina Planning Commission. A new group, Asian Communities of Marina, has met regularly for 3 years now. With recent national events, the Asian communities' experiences with racism are now becoming recognized, and with renewed valuing of our societal contributions, more inclusion is occurring across the nation. The redistricting map should consider the impact of our Asian communities as we move towards a renewed self-identity. The current District 4 map has adequately represented us. We hope that redistricting will promote, not diminish or ignore our voice when you define communities of interest to create more collective influence to marginalized communities as ours. Please evaluate the maps that will safeguard the representation and interests of our Asian communities in Marina. Since I do have extra time, I always prepare for a very short public comment. I would like to point out that the Marina data that was shown for District 4 indicates a 9% Asian population, but because of our unique history, many mixed race category of residents in Marina have Asian ancestry. So in fact, the Asian population in Marina might be greater if you included the mixed race. So thank you very much. And thank you for all your hard work. And I know that it is very much hard work. Thank you.
You. Let's see, next we have Rosalind Green. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I believe my comment will echo a lot of what we've heard, being that the redistricting is very important for also the African-American community as well as the Asian community as it pertains to District 4. I know that there was a map, I believe it was map A, that showed an increase of residents in District 4 from Salinas of about 3,000 to 4,000, it looked like. That would definitely shrink and minimize the African American community voice and visibility in District 4. So I also encourage that we consider these populations that are here speaking today when deciding on the mapping. One other slight concern that I had was the map, I believe it was F, that recommended moving Delray Oaks into District 5. I think that would also be detrimental to the city of Seaside that has historically always had to scrap from behind in even trying to be equitable in any of our processes. So just being considerate of our populations of people and Seaside would be greatly appreciated for the redistricting when it comes to District 4. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next, I see, and I apologize, I'm likely to get your first name wrong, Daja Robinson. Please go ahead.
So thank you. It is Deja. And as a Black Seaside resident, born and raised, I've witnessed so many changes within our city and our community, but especially the dilution of the Black community. And I just feel like we are always continuously the afterthought, as if we don't already have many limitations. By the redistricting of District 4 and the addition to add more residents, you're continuing to create even more boundaries to shrink our voice. These types of decisions push those of us who actually have soil here out of the Seaside that I grew up in, and it no longer feels like a fair sense of belonging. Changing the demographics changes our voice. Our voices continue to be minimized, and with this decision, you are proving that very point. I urge you to reconsider and listen to the voices of the community, the actual residents who have to deal with the repercussions of your decision. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I see Mr. Powell is back. George Powell, please go ahead and see if this computer works for you better.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Okay. My name is George Powell. I am a resident of Marina. Marina has an unusually diverse population composed of a large Asian community. This Asian demographic percentage is even higher than California as a whole. Our history is rooted in the intentional stationing of American GIs who brought back Asian brides from World War II, Korean War, and the Vietnam War. This then became the foundation for immigration of many other Asians from all around the world. We have been a significant contributor to the cultural, social, and economic welfare of the Marina community, and hope that our ability to have representation in our district will not be compromised by a new district map. Asians can never occupy a majority of any county district, but we can adequately be represented if attention is paid to percentages in relation to the whole. Adding more voters to a district like the current District 4 will render our influence smaller. Please be mindful of the Asian population in any map you may finally choose. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Those are all the hands that I'm seeing at the moment. I see our Seaside Mayor has raised his hand. Go ahead, Mayor Oglesby.
I'm sorry, Chair. I just want to say that I understand that the commission would do its best to keep communities of interest together. I'm not sure that adding a group or portion from Salinas residents, even though we like our Salinas residents and we love them, our brothers and sisters over there, but I'm not sure adding them to a district that is centered on the peninsula is in the best interest of the district that is on the peninsula. And I'm not sure it keeps the geographical boundaries together and or it encourages one of your priorities, which is the compactness. We ask that the commission not reduce the community of colors or community of interest voting strength by adding a group of residents really don't have the same interests and geographically very separated from us, as you know, better than anyone else. So I just asked the commission to take another look at that and be cautious of not just diluting our strength, but taking those Salinas residents and putting them on the peninsula as a voting block. They should be in Salinas area to assist those groups of interest to elect an individual from their choosing, not have to travel over the mountain range, so to speak, or down 68. But I know the commission is working hard. I know it's a lot of things you guys have to balance. So I just encourage you guys to take a good hard look at that and make the best recommendation possible to the Board of Supervisors. And again, thank you for your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for being here today. I see that Pastor Kenneth Murray has his hand up. Please go ahead, Pastor. You're not unmuted, so if you're speaking, we can't hear you yet.
How about now?
Yeah, it's much better.
All right. Good morning to everyone and to our Mayor Oglesby. My name is Pastor Kenneth Murray, pastor of the Ocean View Baptist Church of Seaside, California. I'm on here to ask you to reconsider your plan to add 3,000 to 4,000 residents from Salinas to our district. And based upon all that you have heard from the people before me, I don't need to go into, but from Pastor Dunham was on earlier, but he has an event, so that's why he had to leave. But from the faith-based community of the Black churches, we are a low percentage and we don't need to be any more outdone. So the Seaside doesn't need to be dictated anymore by outside organizations or even inside organizations. So I would just ask you in a polite and respectful manner just to reconsider your proposal for this redistricting of adding those amount of people to our District 4. And I would ask that our Board of Supervisor would support that and listen to the community of Seaside. And I know that she may not be on, but I'm saying to Wendy, ask you to support the people's voice of Seaside and let the people decide what we need and what we want in Seaside in this redistricting. We have so many hiccups, so many outside forces already holding us up. We don't need this to be any type of maneuver to hold us up anymore. And yes, I said that. We don't need no type of maneuvers trying to hold up Seaside anymore from trying to build and trying to grow Seaside. Everybody else is building, everybody else is growing, but every now and then, everybody from the outside comes in and puts a block on Seaside. And I think that this adding more people to this district will do the same thing. So thank you for your giving me an opportunity to speak, and God bless you in whatever you do. God bless you.
Thank you, Pastor. Let's see, next we have Robert Daniels.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you for your time. Thank you for the presentation. I would just like to echo my fellow Seaside residents, and even just my residents of District 4 as a whole. As a district, we have been trying to come together and get equitable voices, and just adding such distant population is going to put an overwhelming burden on our supervisor to be a representation of such broad interest in different perspectives. I would just say that more attention needs to be put on the communities, and more effort needs to be put on reaching these communities and getting their voices out, because I feel like the perspective that these maps were put together was very, very narrow. But once again, I appreciate the work, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Next, we have Renee Flanders. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you for having me. Thank you for the time. I want to just make a quick comment. So I've been able to listen and kind of observe some of the information, and some of my observations include a lot of the considerations that have gone into this meeting taking place today, some of the things that are being proposed, and just the overall process. A lot of accessibility as far as being able to access the Zoom meeting, get some of the information, whether it was digestible or not, being able to access the information and perhaps contemplate it later, having the ability to submit maps, and even getting help and assistance in doing so, getting information as far as the dates and all of the processes. A lot of consideration has gone into this overall process, and it's obvious that it's not taken lightly. It's a very serious thing that a lot of people are able to take part in. That said, I'm wondering how much consideration then is going into the community members who aren't present, who aren't here and aren't able to voice for whatever reason that might be, that the effort going into making all of this accessible and all of the considerations for the things that we see at hand, the meetings and the maps, how does that extend to the community, and how the day-to-day lives of those community members and the ability to have a voice outside of this meeting a few months from now? You know, I want to ask everybody to consider that it does seem like there's a partial effort to consider people in Salinas or in Seaside or wherever, because of all the things that we see today. There's a lot of accessibility, and I don't want to be redundant, but you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of consideration going into that. But let's consider outside of this meeting and outside of the maps being proposed, how some of the decisions coming up can affect the people who aren't here today. And I also just want to just make another observation that I've been off camera, but those that are on camera, I just want to ask you all to consider how your body language and how your presence is when you're on camera, to listen to some of the people that are presenting. I think that I've noticed an observation on how those things have changed depending on what's being said. And I think it's important that we consider everything today and in the future about how what we're saying to the community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. All right, I'm not seeing any more hands from the public, and so I'd like to bring it back to the commission. It's now about 20 after 11. I think it would be good to try to end by noon because we do have commissioners who need to be elsewhere. So here's what I'm going to propose, that we open up for discussion among the commissioners for, let's see, until, let's say, about maybe 11:45 or 11:50. And then what I'm going to propose is that we take a couple minutes for you all to, with the maps that we have now and from the information that we have now, to pick your top preference, maybe your number 2, and then one that you can live with. This won't be, I don't think it'll be final today because, as we know, there probably will be more maps that are coming. But if we can get a sense for where we are today with the maps that we have, I think it'll help us see if there's a clear preference that we might recommend to the, anyway, well, it'll let us know where we are. We will have a meeting on November 18th to further review maps. And I really encourage, I know for the members of the public, it's really hard to come to this meeting and have all these maps way scroll by you so quickly. So please do put your email in the chat so that staff can send you all of the maps that we have so far and any that come, so that you can print them out, look at the information, and look at them side by side, because it is hard to digest all in a slideshow. So with that, I'm going to open it up to commissioners for comments. And I see that Commissioner Tanzi has his hand up, and I know Commissioner Ferrante, you may want to finish your thought. Although I think we kind of saw where you were going, but there may be a little more you want to add to that. So if you would, raise your hand at some point, but I'm going to go ahead and call on Commissioner Tanzi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to first make a quick comment to the Renee Flanders. I hopefully we don't look distracted, but I am looking at the presentation online, simultaneously looking at 2 other computers, keeping track of the maps and trying to follow what people are saying. So please don't think that maybe we were not taking the comments seriously. Second of all, when it comes to the plans, would you like my recommendation, Madam Chair?
You can go ahead and do that now if you like. Sure.
Okay. All right. Trying to speed up the process a little bit. I know we're short on time. My first choice is D. Second choice is 1.1. The reason I chose D over 1.1 is section block 1, highly dense residents. It's a very highly dense community, much different than the when we had the public meetings. Folks that came to that meeting wanted us to keep it as rural as possible. I see the others are more neighborhoods. That's why I like Plan D. But there is the part where I think 2 and 3 get pulled out on Plan 1.1. I think those are more residential, less dense housing, and that's why I chose them in that order. I think that's really the comment for now. I just wanted to get that in and see if we could speed this up a little bit.
Super, thank you, Commissioner. Just a clarification, you're saying Plan D as in delightful, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ease and David and 1.1.
Excellent. And 1.1. And then is there a map that if neither of those rise to the top that you could live with? Like, and let's include the current plan, not that we talked about it, but if that's
I'm not real excited about any of the rest of them, to be honest with you.
got it. Okay, so 1.1 is the one you could live with.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, super. Thank you very much. Commissioner Sands.
A sec. First of all, you could withdraw my plan since it seems to be the same as the 1.1. I apologize for that. I didn't start with their plan. I started with Jane's plan and then I tweaked it and somehow I ended up back where we started. So, the other thing is I just think we need to still get, I'd love to get a little input maybe from Jane specifically, why she was comfortable including some of these parts of moving some things into District 4 that the people from District 4 seem to be commenting a lot today about not making too many changes to that district. And so I'd like to hear a little bit about that. And then I'll keep looking at these maps because it's the first time I've seen D and I want to look at it a little more closely. So I'll come back when you do the go around to the commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just say the sections that map B proposes to put into District 4, it would be, I was trying to be a team player and just even out the population, but they don't have a lot of people. It's the section 10 or section 8 that have the 2,700 or 3,500 population that has the residents of Seaside and the Asian community concerned. So my additions into District 4 were minor, but if people insist, I'd be okay with adjusting that map B to reflect their wishes if we can keep the population, the deviation numbers. Okay. Thank you for the question. Commissioner Ferrante, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the interest of time, I concur with Commissioner Tansey. I myself live in all those areas that were fourth mentioned. The areas of 1, 2, and 3. I've lived in all those areas, including 4. Knowing the area as I do, I recommend what Commissioner Tansey said because area 1 is a high density opposed to the residential areas in 2 and 3. And that concludes my comments. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanchez.
Yeah, I think it would be important for the demographer to explain why we need to move population and why do we need to move numbers. There's a lot of folks that are sharing concern about movement of thousands of people, and I think it should be explained why. And having said that, I mean, this is my second time to try to ensure that Salinas District 1 Latino communities stay together, and they have been divided in the past. And so I think it's important to understand why we need to move people around because one district has too much and they need to be equally in population. So I think it'd be important to reaffirm, to share that information with the folks that are joining today. So I think they should know that. I also, personally support that Del Rey Oaks stays within its current district. We had talked about that and our plan included that, but I personally think that it doesn't make a lot of difference to Salinas, except it just equally distributes the population. So I'd be supportive. I personally, I'm not speaking for commissioners in District 1, but I personally be supportive of not including them in District 5. Obviously, there's not going to be much growth in District 5, so it only makes sense to just keep it at the highest with the lowest variation. Because there's no real growth going to happen there. The growth areas are going to be in the South Monterey County and North County and in the northern part of Salinas. So, but I just wanted to share that I think it's important for the demographer to talk about that and why population needs to be moved in those numbers because right now it's lopsided, at least in District 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think you made that point rather well, but do either Dr. Gobele or Dr. Lapcom speak to the population?
Yes.
So thank you.
During redistricting, we must be sure that each supervisorial district have almost the same population as every other supervisorial district. That's why we're moving population around. The current plan actually does balance the population, but the commissioners have been working hard to see if there are alternatives to keep communities of interest together better. And that, of course, is important. That's why it's important to hear public testimony as we have today. And I believe Shelley has something to say about the inclusion of more of Salinas in District 4 than in the current plan. Shelley?
Gee, I think I just wanted to make clear that we could make changes between districts 2 and 1 without affecting District 4 if we wanted to. So we could take a subset of Commissioner Parker's plan or Plan 1.1 and probably Plan D without affecting District 4. We can't make as many changes and we can't balance it out as much, but I just want people to know we could do some changes without affecting District 4 if people decided that's what they wanted to do.
Yes, that would be Plan 2, I guess, or something.
Well, there's several ways, there are several adjustments we can make. We can make adjustments to several of the plans if we want. It just means there'll be less adjustments.
Higher deviation.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Padilla.
There you go. I got my mic out now, finally. Yes, well, you know, with all due respect to District 4, District 2 has had a big chunk of Salinas for the last 10 years and probably before that. We'd sure like to have less, but we have to equal all the population the best we can. So maybe it can be tweaked a little bit. We'll leave that up to the professionals. But as far as preferences, yeah, map D rather be like in David would be my preference. My second preference will be 1.1, and one I can live with will be map B, like in Boy. And the reason being is you saw the map that blocks 2 and 3 they are together still, and we get block 8 and 7. Now they are together. Hopefully that's a community of interest and keep them together. So it does extend a little bit more. It does give more people to District 4. But like I said, it was a balancing act, and that's the best way we could possibly come up with. So we'll leave it up to the experts. If it can be tweaked and something we can live with, and we'll just have to wait. And as far as Plan F, well, we can't see that one, so I can have no comments on it. I would sure like to see it on a later date. So that would be all my recommendations.
Thank you, Commissioner. Great. Any other commissioners with comments?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes, please.
Oh, yes. Commissioner, I'll call on Commissioner Sanchez and then Commissioner Mitchell.
This is Commissioner Lal.
Oh, yes. All right. Let's go ahead with you, Commissioner Lal, and then Commissioner Mitchell. And then Commissioner Sanchez, I will let you double dip.
I apologize for jumping in and for being not on camera. If I may, I'm wondering if as we get closer to November 18th, if there's an opportunity now that there's a little more meat to the discussion to have some summaries of rationale for some of these. I think what I heard today makes me reconsider some things to have this much community input. We haven't had that. I haven't really understood how to put into words some of the movement I've seen in District 4. And so this makes me give a little pause and some thought. But number one, in terms of preferences, I will echo what Commissioner Tansey initially said. Again, D for David, 1.1, I don't have a third I prefer. But that's what I would like to say at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One of the reasons that we had I echo what the previous speaker said in terms of communities of interest and the voices of the citizens within our individual districts. And from what I'm hearing, I think that Plan B is the plan that the citizens and the residents in District 4 would like for us to adopt. And being a voice on this commission is not a single voice, it's a voice representing the individuals that are within that district. And I think that Plan B is more balanced. And I don't have a second or a third. I have just that the preference of the people of this district. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And that's B as in beautiful, right? Rather than D as in David. Thank you. All right, Commissioner Carrillo, I see your hand is up. Please go ahead.
I just wanted to first take a moment to thank those that showed up and spoke today from the cities of community of Marina and Seaside, the Asian community, and those who are, voicing. I know it's Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning, so for them to be here and voicing their concerns, I appreciate it. And giving pieces of Salinas to having to move certain things. As a resident of East Salinas, we would love to keep all of Salinas together because of one of the first priorities in this work is to keeping the population equal. That's where it gets tricky. We as Salinas, we would like to keep a lot more of those in East Salinas together that you have your lower income earners, we have a much more communities of interest with keeping parts of East Salinas together. However, we are definitely going to take everything that the considerations of the comments from those in Seaside Marina. And my preference is obviously just the last map that was submitted, district option F. However, we haven't really gotten a clear presentation on the map and some of the other specifics to that. So, but that is my preference. And then a 1.1 is my second, and I really don't have a third. But I'm willing to look at anything, consider any other changes to keep it. I think the option F keeps the deviation the lowest and keeps the population the closest inequalities. So as that being our priority, I think those are my reasons for choosing map F. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you. Been listening to everybody. So I think for me, Plan A would probably be my first choice. And my second choice would be the current plan. And part of it has to do with a percent deviation of the current plan keeps it within the 10% deviation. So, if people really wanted to maintain the particular areas that they were interested in, then that would accommodate most people. Obviously, District 3 wanted most of Salinas out of, they wanted most of Salinas or the 15,000 plus people that they have in District 3 to be able to. So for me, that particular plan would work, the current plan, and if not A, and then I'd like to look at what F plan looks like. One suggestion that would be such a radical suggestion would be to create a 7-district map plan, and then that would allow for areas in South County to obviously would cost at least $1 million more to the county. It will allow for South County to have their own district. It would take a lot of the South Salinas population from District 4. Obviously, District 5 would have to be cut, but then it would also allow the Prunedale, Castroville, District 2 to be a lot smaller. So, but anyways, and I'm not sure if we would even be able to consider a 7-district plan, maybe either now or in 10 years down the road, to address some of those issues and make the Asian population and the Black population a lot stronger in that particular district by taking away part of Salinas. But for me it would be there or other possibilities. And, you know, maybe in terms of a 7-district plan would cost the county, but at least in terms of the residents, it would be able to increase percentages in terms of influence for the Asian and Black communities and other minority communities. Anyways, those are my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ms. Brereton, can you speak to what it would take or whether it's possible to have 7 supervisors in Monterey County? Can't hear you, even though your microphone shows. There you go. There you go.
Sorry about that. I'm not prepared to go into detail on Ernesto's question, but maybe I can comment on it next time. That would moving from 5 districts to 7 would be very involved, and it gets into how we're formed as a county. Just to give you some something to gnaw on or to look up on Google, we are not a charter county. We are by statute, basically. That's how we're formed. So my best guess off the cuff on if we ever wanted to move to a 7-district county would be that we would have to change the code, basically the government code and other things at the state legislature. So it would be sort of an involved situation. Not that it's not possible, it's just certain factors would have to be in play, and it would be a fairly involved endeavor if we did that, and there would have to be sort of good reason for it. But you can Google up charter cities and statutory cities and counties and sort of gnaw on that a little bit to see what's involved.
Great, thank you. Sounds like something for the future. I see Commissioner Sands has her hand up. I also see that the demographers have sorted out Plan F. And so maybe it would be useful now to take a look at Plan F so that we know what we're looking at before because in a few minutes, I think I'll hear from Commissioner Sands, and then I'd like to have all of the commissioners have the opportunity to kind of give their priorities at this point.
I could wait. I was going to give you my priorities, so maybe I should wait till after we see map F.
Super, great. I'll call on you after that. Super, thank you.
So Robin needs to share her screen. Robin, are you able to do that?
Yes, I'm sharing right now. Should be up momentarily.
Yes, we see it.
Okay, great. This is the Salinas detail area.
So is there anything people want to know about this? I guess some of Robin, can you speak to the boundary in 3 that goes inside, goes into that little area, jogs in
11 and 12.
Mm-hmm. And then another feature is pieces in the north, piece 2, the boundary in the north. I'm sorry, go ahead. That's good that you've zoomed in there.
So it looks like the boundary between 1 and 3 follows 68 and then 101. And then follows the current district boundary between 3 and 4. Right here.
Okay.
Is there more information you would like to know?
Yeah, and then District 4, that gets added piece 8 to District 4.
Yeah. The new 1-4 boundary here.
Mm-hmm. And that was prior to that, it was in District 2. And then moving up the map, north. Piece 1, let's see. I'm a little confused on this map, exactly what happens to 1 and 19. So 19.
One
Yeah,
is
go ahead.
not, no change to 1 and no change to 19. They both stay in District 2.
Okay, and then piece 2 gets moved from District 2 to District 1.
Correct.
And piece 3 stays in District 2.
Yes.
Okay. Are there other changes as you move around the map?
I'll just zoom back out a little bit.
So that's about it then.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And how do we do on population and deviation and so on?
Well, if Delray Oaks is in stays in District 4, then the deviation is 3.1. If Delray Oaks is moved to District 5, the deviation is less than 1%, 0.9 of 1%. And the the Latino percentages just don't really change much with any of these plans. But we haven't looked at how it affects District 4. We've been looking more at District 2. So we should probably take a look at District 4 and we can report on that later. The concern that the African-American and Asian communities might be diluted. So we'll look at that a little more later.
Thank you. Thank you for showing us map F. That's great. Okay, Commissioner Sands.
Okay, so I'm giving you my priorities.
Great.
It would be Plan B is my number 1, Plan D is my second, and I could live with 1.1.
Great. Thank you. Any other commissioners who have comments before we ask you to do your preferences as best you can today? Okay, so let's see. It's going to be a little complicated doing the roll call because I guess we'll, Ms. Azevedo, if you could do the roll call, and if you as a commissioner have already given your preferences, then if you would just say, I've already given mine and there's no change, right? So that would be great. So Commissioner Tanzi, yes, please.
Sorry, I wasn't unmuted yet. I saw earlier that Sister Rosa was trying to make a comment and couldn't raise her hand. I don't know if she's still on. Maybe you could speak to
I'm
her.
sorry.
Before we move
Thank
on.
you. Thank you for seeing that. Yes. Sister Dolores, are you still here? Would you still like to make a comment? If so, please unmute yourself. And
I'm sorry, she may have had to leave.
yeah, I apologize for missing that.
Nope.
All right. So Ms. Azevedo, if you would go ahead and do the roll call vote, and any commissioner who has already spoken change to what you said before, please just say, I've spoken, no change.
Yes, so for District 1, Commissioner Carrillo?
I've already given my recommendations. Thank you so much. They stay the same.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanchez?
I was called for trying to double dip, so I didn't get to do. So I still think we need to discuss Plan F, and so I'm just going to abstain. I like some of the other maps, but trying to keep people together. So anyway, I'm just not comment time, but thank you.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yeah, to me, like I said, either modified Plan A, I can go with Plan A or current, or look at other maps that are coming up. Thank you.
Thank you. For District 2, Commissioner Padilla.
I've already made my recommendations, no change.
Thank you. Commissioner Tansey.
My recommendation stand as I previously stated. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ferrante.
Same as the other two commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. For District 3, Commissioner Cog. Commissioner Cog.
Try talking to.
Lots to consider today. I can live with 1.1, and I also have preferences for Plan A and B.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me get that. So your number one choice is 1.1? Or
No, I think probably in choice order would be Plan A, Plan B would be second, and I can live with 1.1. So that would be the third choice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Salinas.
Yeah, my first preference would be planning at this point, and still for a little bit to some of the other plans that came in, especially Mr. Sanchez, who's our laboring.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that. Are you abstaining, or do you have a preference? I couldn't hear.
He's muted.
Unmute.
Can you hear me?
Sort of. It's kind of distorted, so.
Let me try again. Can you hear me better?
I can hear you. It just echoes. So.
Turn off the microphone, maybe?
Maybe you could chat it.
Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Just go ahead and try. What's your number one choice, number two, and what can you live with?
Yeah, Plan E, Madam Chair. Yeah. Right.
Okay, so Plan E is number one.
Yes, and then Plan B is 2.
B is 2.
Yeah, and that would be at this point. I need to look at the Sergio Sanchez map that he proposed, but again, I think these two maps are acceptable to me.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair.
Oh, thank you. Yes, so let's see, my first choice, Plan B, as in beautiful. My second choice is the current plan. And live with, I think, the current plan.
Thank you. And Commissioner Mitchell.
My plan is previously stated, Plan B. Thank you.
Okay, for District 5, Commissioner Sands.
I stated my preferences.
Thank you. Commissioner Lal. Okay, Commissioner Jones-Farrick.
Hi, yes. I first want to caveat what I'm about to say with that we've had extremely rich and valuable testimony today that I don't think can be underscored enough, especially when we talk about voices being further marginalized or minimized, or the absence of voices that are still as valuable as those that are present. And so I only say that to say that it is with extreme reservation, because I fear that with giving these preferences, that in future meetings, we focus on the fact that we gave preferences and we don't remember the testimony that was given in the public today. So for me, it is with extreme reservation that my preference is Plan B and then the current plan. However, I would really like us to remember that Plan F was introduced today. It was a lot of new information. We we're told the deviations, but we haven't been able to see that information, process that information, and discuss that information. So I want to make sure that we do that in the future before we finalize a top 3 plans to consider moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, that's everyone. So let's see. So we have a couple of people absent because I only have 13 votes. So Commissioner Magana is absent, and someone else. Oh, McDougal. Great. Okay. Thank you. Great. Well, I think this gives us something to look at. It looks like D is in delightful. 1, 2, 3, 4 has 4 number 1 votes. B is in beautiful has 4 number 1 votes. And then there's a smattering of others. So I think we have kind of a place to start, and then we still have a lot of unknowns. So
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Padilla, please.
Yeah, yes, of course, B to me means beautiful, and I apologize.
Thank you. So are you saying that your first choice now is beautiful rather than?
No. For the choice of words that I used last time. No, the choices stay the same, but okay. B stands for beautiful or military baker.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
But it stays the same.
Great, thank you. Yeah, because I think you had D as in delightful as your first choice, and you did have beautiful, but it was you could live with it. So anyway, thank you, everyone. It's 1 minute to noon, and I know there are people who need to leave. So I think we got a good chunk of work done today. Let's see, I guess, Council, could you, let's see, maybe you can help us frame how we're going to do the next steps, how we present. So we need to give the Board of Supervisors something now, but we know we're not completely finished. So how do you suggest we proceed?
So I think what you can do is, we can send the board an informational only information about this, show them the maps that were, the 2 maps that were, I think it was B and D that people liked the most, and just let them know, we have other meetings before we meet with the board and make our final recommendation, and things to consider from public comments today, and additional maps to consider. But it'll just let them know this is what we've been working on, and this is, so far this is where we're headed.
Great, thank you. I think Rosemary, I'm sorry, Ms. Soto, would you, we have several other items on the agenda, but they are going over the mapping tools and next steps. I think it would be helpful for people if you would reiterate the office hours, how people can get copies of the maps, how they can submit their own maps, because I think there's still some activity here, and then sort of the next meetings and opportunities. If you just review that for people, then we can adjourn.
Sure, thank you, Madam Chair. I hope there's not much of an echo, but the next steps is that we would invite the public to join us and take the opportunity to receive technical assistance on drawing draft maps and submitting them. As Jackie posted in the chat, we will be having virtual office hours Monday and Tuesday, November 15th and 16th from 4 to 6 p.m. And the Zoom link is the same one that you used today to sign on to this meeting. It is also posted on our Facebook page, our Instagram page, as well as on our website, and the website has been posted in the chat. You are also invited to hand draw a map and take a picture of it or scan it and you send it to us by email. You can use the online mapping tool, which is located on our website on your own, and there's a tutorial there if you would like to start working with that this weekend, if you have some spare time. And our next meeting will be on Thursday, November 18th in Monterey at the Monterey Chamber of Commerce. And that's at 5:30 as well. And we will also be available on Zoom using the same link that you logged into today. On Saturday, November 20th, we have a joint public hearing with the Board of Supervisors. It will also be a hybrid meeting. That Zoom link does change, so please check out our website to get the correct link. And also there is the opportunity to join in person at the board chambers at 168 West Alisal in Salinas. And I believe that is all for our next steps. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Soto. I see that a couple of commissioners have their hands raised. Commissioner Sands?
I just want to clarify, are we going to get a new packet of maps based on the discussion today? I mean, not only maps B and D that were the sort of got the most support, but are we going to get a better version of F sent to us and any other new maps? I just want to make sure we get all the information.
Right. I think it would be a good idea to do again, if staff and the demographers are okay with this, to do again what we did this week, which is as of a certain all of the maps that we have, well, actually, the staff will send out any new maps because the commissioners have the first round. And I guess the question is, should we send it out as a paper packet or send it by email and you all can print? If we send it as an email, it can go, it can come closer to the meeting time, but
we could also send them out as we receive them, the ones that we've just recently received. We could probably have enough time to send it out to you at the next day delivery early this week. But as we receive more, I mean, we're going to have to kind of roll with it and get it to you the best way we can. And if we don't have the ability to get it to you in person on a print packet, I think and I hope that was probably the most optimal way, because we figured that it would be. We'll do our best to do that, but it may also be possible that the quickest way to get it to you will be by email.
Yeah. Why don't we say we'll try to send a paper packet out like as of noon on Tuesday, whatever we have as of noon on Tuesday, printed out and delivered to people so that people have it they'll have it Wednesday morning, Thursday meeting, and then anything that comes in after that will need to be sent by email. Does that make sense? Okay, and of course, commissioners, you do have maps C, D, and E in an email, so you can print those out now if you want to look at them sooner. But good question. It's really, I found it very helpful to have the paper version to look at the data side by the maps side by side, because my brain can't retain it at the speed that it gets presented. So thank you for that question. Commissioner Carrillo?
I want to thank Rosemary Soto and the staff for making those hand deliveries for this last packet. Echo what Chair Parker says, that it does make a difference when we have kind of like the hand, maps in comparison to our screen and so forth. So thank you for that. And then I wasn't sure, Rosemary, if there is on the website, if people want to submit public comments via email, you know, what that main email is, if you can kind of like just mention it, especially with those, we had so much public comment from, you know, members of the public today, is that making sure just to kind of remind people that they can submit public comments via email if that is the case.
Yes. Thank you for asking that question, Commissioner Carrillo. There, that reminds me that Survey 123 is still available on our webpage, and I'll put in the link to that. That is an excellent tool to be able to provide details about your community for the commissioners to consider. Your public testimony can also be submitted by email, and I'll also include that in the chat.
Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Alternate Commissioner Richter, please go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I again want to say thank you for getting printed packet to my house. That was quite a special delivery. And by definition, we're scattered throughout the county, so that must have taken some time. I also, when these wonderful packets about each map are emailed to us, it is not too much to include all of them in one email. I really appreciate that 1.1 all the way through E came together, so that way I can see them all in one place rather than having to go back and look for multiple emails. So if as they continue to come in, we can continue to get all of them at one time, that would, I think, probably help us to review them. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everyone. This quite a process, and I really appreciate your attention, your patience, your focus. This is hard to digest, but I really appreciate the activity on generating maps and really looking at them and figuring out what might be best for our community. So I'm going to adjourn the redistricting workshop, and I'm also going to adjourn this meeting, and I look forward to seeing you all on the evening of November 18th to see if we can get anything more finalized than we were able to do today. But great progress today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.